Hi guys, welcome back to Forgetful Sky. Let's chat about books. Two books. So an insane alchemist and a rebellious goblin. Wow, my brain just flatlined. And Crystal for the Win. So the first book is going to be The Alchemist, a Blodwen Forest, book 2 by Derr. I really like the symbols too, like right there. Okay. So this is an MM fantasy paranormal. So this is book 2, and the first one was sort of like a Snow White remake that was kind of fun. So this one is the best friend to the mage in the first book that moved with him to Blodwen Castle, and his name is Markham, and he is the 5th son of the king of a different country. He's the 5th son. He's always been obsessed with being an alchemist. I'm sorry, I'm having a really bad day, like, symptom-wise, so I'm gonna try to get through this as fast and as well as I can, but as you can see, the brain fog is heavy, and the pain is kind of intense, so sorry if I'm a little off. So this alchemist, he's the 5th youngest prince. He is considered very dangerous because he's like one of the best alchemists, period. And he's scarred. It seems like his scar goes all over the left side of his face and his body. Like his eyebrows gone. He thinks he's hideous. There's a lot of insecurities in this one, right? And his love interest is the master inker from the first book. So he is a goblin. And I knew he was going to get his own book because in the first book they describe him as abnormally tall and so very handsome. And I'm like, I'm a nerd. I play Pathfinder. I play D&D. What does a good-looking goblin look like? Like in a human context of handsome. And unfortunately, they don't really go into it. I guess they kind of like, make up what he looks like to you. And his name is Gullet. It's like make up what he, he is taller than Malcolm, which I found very fascinating. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is where goblins aren't like average 3 feet tall and stuff, I guess. Okay. Never read a goblin romance before. And I guess it's also a monster as well. Because I guess, so because of what happened in the first book, Gullet is kicked out of his tribe from the cave and he lives in the castle. And him and Malcolm from the beginning have been at odds with each other. You know what I mean? Sniping, stuff like that. And Gullet's best friend, the huntsman from the first book, is surprised because usually Gullet is, and this is Gullet's term, what he calls himself. And again, a lot of like insecurities in this book, a slut. So he's surprised that he's like nasty to the alchemist instead of charming. You know what I mean? So basically, I'm so sorry guys. Maybe I shouldn't have filmed this week, but here we are. We found about Malcolm's past, and when he was a child, there was a serial killer in his kingdom, and they killed, and one of the victims was the alchemist that was teaching him. So no one believed him. He was like a boy of like 11 and no one believed him that he could figure it out, that he wanted help, that he had ideas. Everyone just kind of like, oh, he's a child. Shut up, shut up, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. So he made this spell, an alchemist potion, which is pretty horrendous in detail. And he drank it and it made him relive the moments of death for the 5 victims. So he was able to not only see the murderer, but name him. And because the serial killer is from a powerful dukedom, he wasn't executed, he was just put in prison for life. Supposed to be for life. So Malcolm, 11-year-old, crazy traumatized, his father, the king, that isn't like a mean king, he's just like very neglectful, I guess, shipped Malcolm off for schooling, and then when he came back, he had his accident that disfigured him, so even further, he felt very isolated, even more from his family. His older brother, Wolfram, that I like, and I kind of, who's the crown prince, that I kind of want a story, I hope they get their own story, or they have their own story, I'm not recognizing the name, anyway. he seems to be the one that he has a good relationship with Malcolm, which is nice. So, in Bloodwind, someone is murdered, horribly murdered. Another goblin is murdered. So Malcolm goes to Gullet to let him know. Gullet goes to the council, all this kind of stuff. They suspect an addict did it, and I guess that's an isolated incident when Malcolm, but good timing because it kept Malcolm from his alchemist workshop, which is set on fire. They find remains of a body, and Malcolm does a potion, alchemist magic, to find out what happens, and he realizes it's the serial killer from his childhood. So, self-sacrificing, insecure idiot that he is, leaves Blodwen because he doesn't want anybody to be a victim because of him, because obviously serial killer is after him for vengeance, right? So he wants to go to the prison to find out what the hell is going on, like how the guy escaped. And Gullet is he described, like, he can read people very well, and he knows Malcolm's going to do something stupid, so he goes after him. This whole time this is going on, we're in their POVs, we hear them pining for each other, we, like, read them hating on themselves and how they're not good enough. Like, Gullet's like, I'm penniless, I've been banished from my tribe, why would a prince and someone as wonderful as him want me? And meanwhile, Malcolm's like, he is, Gullet's so handsome and creative and talented, why would he want someone as scarred and ugly as me? So all this is going on. So their problem is completely their own doing, but this writer did a wonderful job that you feel bad for these characters, and you're like, no, you were so much more than your scars, Malcolm, come on. And Gullet's like, come on, Gullet, you're a great guy, So I really rooted for them, which is what you want, right, in a romance. And I found the mystery not very mysterious, but it was sort of, instead of a mystery, it's more of like a thriller, like catch the serial killer before he kills one of the characters you care about, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed it. So they get to the prison. They found out that the serial killer basically endeared himself to the warden to get out. And the serial killer has followed them from Blodwen. And during the journey, Gullet and Malcolm get their head out of the asses. And they get together, which is really sweet. There's a final alchemist magical showdown, which I did find the description of it kind of vague. So, like, I found it kind of vague. I found the romance a little rushed. So that's why I gave it 4 stars. But I really enjoyed it. I did. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with that one. Okay. So, and again, I haven't read, like, a romance with, like, a goblin. Like, I don't think ever. So that was a nice little, something new, something new. Excuse me, I forgot my water downstairs because today is one of those days. That's what it is. So, anything else that I'm missing? No. And I do like that how the ending was, and how their situation straightens out. I did like it. I liked it quite a bit, and I'm interested in reading the 3rd book, which looks to be an FM with the Snow White. I was kind of hoping it would be an FF, but it's an FM, so I'm interested to check it out. So the next book, the next in the series, you guys know I've been reading Hot and Heavy, The Fever Brothers. Book 4 by Michele Mills. Eek. Okay. So, I had high hopes for this one. Not gonna lie. I had high hopes for this one. So this is a sci-fi, FM, monster, alien romance. Okay? Okay. So the main girl is Jenna. Or Jana, Jana, because Jenna is usually Jeana. But what do I know? I just found out Sean could be spelled Shaun as well as Hean and Shaw. What am I talking about? Anyway, sorry. Refocusing. Okay. So This was Crystal for the win. And basically, Heavy is one of the bazillion, it's really like 8, but bazillion Fever brothers. And he's not having a good time. Usually he's really calm and one of the calmer ones of the brothers. He's like the peacekeeper. But right now he's like quick to rage. He's sweating all the time. He's losing memories, losing concentration. His fangs and fangs and claws are shrinking. His crystal that they all have an empathic psychic bond with is red instead of the healthy white blue. He thinks he's getting crystal madness. They call it the name of the crystal that I can never ever remember because I'm dyslexic, and it has like a bazillion I's and L's in it, and my brain's like, nope. So he's not having a good time. And to make matters worse, Cannibal, which was in the last book, decides he doesn't want to cook because they have a new chef, human chef, and he wants to try out the exotic cuisine of the human. Because, you know, they all have human mates so far. Not all of them. The ones that aren't mated don't have mates. But the ones that are mated have human mates, and he wants to try out more human food. So they all go there. And it turns out the main female, I'm just going to call her Jana, she's the chef, and she is 4 months pregnant with a half Zelon child. And everyone's really confused by this because Zelon, when they mate, if the male is separated from the mate, they die, you know? So it's really confusing. She's there looking for her husband because when she woke up on, I think it was Gamma 6 station, space station, all there was left was a note that said goodbye. And she's like, bitch, no, what is happening? So I do like Jana in this, that she's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this son of a bitch. You know what I mean? I did like that. So obviously Heavy is her husband, like they made it on Omega 6, where Heavy was allowed to visit their older brother who was exiled. Heavy doesn't remember any of this. He remembers meeting his sister-in-law, his brother that was exiled, holding his niece, and that's kind of it. And then he remembers being home. So he doesn't remember anything, and the whole time he refuses to talk to his brothers about it. And I'm starting to feel really bad for the youngest, because in all the books, they kind of like snap at him a lot, and I'm like, what? What is going on? Stop picking on the youngest. But I digress. He sees her on the line and he thinks she's gorgeous but like she's mated, she's pregnant, you know, obviously not for him. He can't have her. He dreams about her. The yearning is there, right? She sees him. She's upset. That's her long lost husband who's pretending he doesn't know her, and her heart is broken. And meanwhile, cause she's a famous chef, right? So in the meanwhile, her sous chef and everything, who are Exelons, are kind of making a bet who the father was, which I thought was like a nice levity in this, because reading her point of view is very kind of like heartbreaking, and seeing Heavy disintegrate as we are in his POV is like really sad and also really annoying, because I was like, hey asshole, go to your doctor. Eventually, after he flies into a blind rage that he doesn't remember why, and almost hurts Leah from the second book, and their young boy, like their young son, that's when he allows, I think it's Chief, to drag him to the doctor, who is their like second cousin or something. And the cousin is like, you're going through mate withdrawal. Like, you should be dead. The only reason you're not dead is because your bond with the crystal. So like, crystal kept him alive. Yeah. So he realizes, oh, it must be the woman that he keeps dreaming about. And then like the moment he gets it through the denial, he has to go to her. Like the mating ritual that they already had on Omega 6 reunites, and it kind of like redoes it. And I will say, for once in this book, the mating ritual was not at a weird time. It wasn't during an invasion. It wasn't during attempted kidnapping and attempted murder. It was actually, I'm like, hey, look at you. This is like, okay, I mean, sure, it's in public and it's in the cafeteria, but the other, her friends from the kitchen completely closed off the cafeteria, so you guys got privacy. At least this isn't during an invasion where, like, the guy's bone is sticking out of his leg. or during like an almost murder kidnap from the second book. So good for you. I like the timing of this mating ritual. Gold star for that. And like he explains, he doesn't have any memory, and she's like, okay, let's figure this out. Turns out his memory was tampered with. Yeah, no shit. So, but they don't know why. So this is why it's 2 stars for me, because I was really invested in why the memory was gone, who is doing this. They hint that it is attached to their parents' murder, that they still have no idea who did it, and why Dexon, their oldest brother and head of the Union, was unfairly banished, exiled. So they have all these ideas, like all these premises that could connect, all these threads that could connect to it, but they don't, in my opinion, this book, they don't go into it enough. Like, I wished the memory loss mystery was pushed forward more, because we get a lot of pining and a lot of denial. Fine. Or make the book longer, because you don't really get a resolution on who did this to him. We have no idea. Do I think it might be the CEO who keeps popping up on these books for like, I'm like, why are you? Because like, he's supposed to be like the CEO, head of the company, right? The Fever Brothers do not like him. He's the reason Dexon was kicked off out of the planet, right? Okay. He keeps showing up in these books, and I'm like, are you just like the incompetent boss? Are you just like a 3rd tier character? Are you a red herring? Or are you the bad guy? There's like not enough information in 4 of these books, 4 of them, for me to know. And I'm like, should I read the Bounty Hunter series with the brother? Maybe it gives more context, but I really don't want to. I didn't like the first one. So, so that's why it's 2 stars. It doesn't give you a resolution on the memory loss. Just that he has memory loss, and it was caused by a drug, and if he didn't have his crystal, he would be dead. So whoever did this to him wanted him dead, or did they know the crystal would keep him alive, or was he an experiment to see if the crystal could keep him alive? Why were the parents murdered? We know the father was also a minor, but that's all we know. So not enough information. The romance angle of it has a lovely happy ending. Huzzah! The actual mystery that I was really invested in, nothing. Because again, I think the mystery of his memory loss, like who caused it and why, really carried this book. Because even though this author does a fantastic job of making all the brothers different personalities, very distinct from each other, once you read their book, that is, and all the Cuban girls have different personalities, different types of strength. They're all strong in their own way. I love that. But to be fair, the romance of it was kind of boring. The romance part of this book was a little boring. And I think if the excitement and mystery of who gave him the memory loss came a little earlier, I might have been a little bit more invested with the romance as well. Because at this point, all I gave a shit about was finding out why and who took his memory away and for what means. You know what I mean? So those questions are still open. I get it. There's more Fever books to come. I'm going to read them because I'm invested in this mystery. So great job with that, Michele Mills, getting me interested in this mystery that is ongoing. But yeah, if this one was just not, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just like, okay, you know what I mean? I found the chemistry between Heavy and Jaina kind of boring. And for the fact that, like, I really should have been rooting for them, so there's that. Okay, I don't want to. It's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.